Hi, this is Mark from Skywagon University. We're doing another owner interview today on a very, very rare plane. This is Gabe Tyler, who's based right here at Placerville. Gabe, thanks for letting us look at your plane. It's an incredibly rare plane. It's a PZL M-26 Polish military trainer made in 1998. And we're going to have a look around it and a little bit of a flight and talk to Gabe about it. So here she is, a PZL M-26. Airwolf is the name. So, am I right? There are 4 flying in the world?
Yes, I believe so.
4 flying in the world, 3 in the US?
3 in the US. Yes.
Okay, and how many were built?
9 in total.
9 of them, and some of them have disappeared into the depths of Venezuela as trainers and never to be seen of again.
Yeah, 2 of them went to Venezuela, and I've seen 1 picture of them in the whole time since then. So, and I've dug. I don't know what happened to them.
And the training process for the people that flew these, what was the order? There was this?
They would go from this into, this was in Poland was called the Iskierka, which means little spark, or sparklet, and then they would go from this into the PZL Iskra, which is the jet trainer.
Oh yeah.
The next step up. So the layout's all pretty similar to that, and the Iskra meant spark. So this is the little spark, that's the spark, and then you'd go from the PZL Iskra into probably a MiG, I would guess.
So
that's the next step.
A severe learning curve of planes as you work your way up. Not unlike your own training, I have to say.
Yeah.
So Gabe learned to fly in a 172 and did the normal 40 hours, and immediately after that bought a
Yak 52 tail wheel.
So radial tail wheel, prop goes the wrong way, air start, ration.
Yes.
Insurance nightmare.
It wasn't that bad. My insurance guy happens to be a race car guy, and he uses parts that we make, so
Excellent.
He gave us a great deal.
So from that then, how many hours in it? 300, 400?
About 300, I would guess.
And then into this?
Yep.
So how long have you had this one?
This one I've had for a year and a few months, and I've probably only put about 50 hours on it, I would guess. 50 to 70 hours on it.
And I'm going to trust you to go for a ride.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The right way up or the wrong way up?
Either way, whatever you want.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we can play around.
So Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, but so the wing, PZL have a close relationship with Piper.
Yes.
A lot of the pieces on this plane are Piper. Like the wing is a Seneca wing. You can see from its gas caps, the gas tanks, the position, the Hershey bar squareness of the wing, and the taper here looks very familiar to a Cherokee 180, Cherokee 140. The engine of the Seneca would go in this crack. So if you widen that out and put an IO 360 in there, you'd have a Seneca wing with the 2 caps, and also only the vertical fin.
The vertical fin, yeah.
So the reason it's got such a big rudder and big vertical fin is it's off a twin. And then tell us about the horizontal. Why wasn't that Seneca?
When they were developing the airplane, they did try the floating, is that called a...
Yeah, the whole thing moves.
Yeah, the whole thing moves, and the plane ended up being too much of a porpoise in the air. It was just way too twitchy, so they decided they needed to come up with something new for the vertical stabilizer.
So a little bit more detail about the plane. We covered the Piper parts. Gabe, tell us about the middle piece, the actual PZL.
The center section is all PZL designed. In Poland, they have a design school that does really interesting and neat designs, and somehow some very young designers convinced the Polish government that they could build this airplane. And so they wanted a trainer, they wanted it to be the shortest distance from point A to point B. So they took what they knew of Piper, they had all the engineering on it, put it together into an airplane that does everything they wanted it to do. So
okay, so and the engine they use is the 300 horsepower IO 540.
Yes, the aerobatic one.
AEIOU, no, AEIO. So it's aerobatic, injected, opposed, 540 cubic inch, handily written on the cowling for good memory. But that's the engine that's in the 300 horsepower Cherokee 6.
Is it?
Very familiar. Yeah, so you could own, even though there's only 3 of them in the country, you can own, run, and maintain this plane. It isn't a weird and foreign and strange plane. It's actually very familiar GA parts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So an annual is conventional?
It's so much easier and cheaper than doing an annual on a Yak.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I bet it is.
A regular mechanic can work on it, and anyone familiar with Piper goes, oh, I recognize that, I recognize that, I recognize that.
Seneca nose wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did get all the manuals and parts catalogs for the airplane as well, so I've got everything I need and all the details of the airplane tip to tail, which is really, really handy. if you're looking for something obscure, trying to figure something out.
And what are these worth? I mean, I don't want to say what do you pay for it, but if that was for sale today, what would that be for sale for?
It seems like they don't come up for sale very often because there's only a few of them, but I paid $165 for this one, and when they were brand new in '98, they sold for about $300,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it would be similar to a sort of T-34 Bonanza type of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
2-seat tandem.
Yep.
So let's walk around it and have a look at some of the other parts of it. So Gabe, you're way more familiar with this plane than me, so let's show us some of the unique weirdness about it.
Some of the things they brought into the design, the battery tray here is on a slide-out service tray. So you just undo this, and it's actually got a quick disconnect. So you can slide it out, and it holds the battery.
Oh, I wish I had that in my plane.
Yeah, so you don't have to deal trying to get the weight out. As
24-volt system.
24-volt system for ground boosting and starting it up, I would guess. And here we're on camera, so I'm all kinds of awkward and don't exactly know what I need to say. So, okay, we got some cargo compartments here.
Yeah.
These are not actually cargo compartments. They're the sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of cargo compartments that some manufacturers might put in there.
Oh, okay.
You're
so
not
those
actually supposed to put much weight in these.
Okay.
So I wouldn't overload them. They're pretty far back.
But you're a bit limited on baggage size if that's the access.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 people, that's your baggage.
Yes.
How many gallons?
95 gallons worth of fuel in 4 tanks.
So that's in weight. What's 95 times 6?
I don't know.
700 pounds, 700 pounds, something.
Yeah. Something like that.
So what's its useful load?
The airplane is 2,300 pounds empty. Aerobatic, you can be up to 2,900 pounds. And at a full load, you're allowed to take it to 3,100 pounds in utility mode. And you can actually do some of the aerobatic features even in utility mode, which is kind of cool.
So if 2 people, say you had a couple 100-pounders and full gas, you'd be at its max gross weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a lot of storage space right behind the back seat. You could put your bags and stuff back there. That's usually what we do when we're traveling. It's got a nice little shelf back there.
We'll have a little tour of the cockpit in a minute. We'll show it inside. So what else has it got? Don't step on the flap. Fairly standard for everything.
It's got markers on the flaps so that you can visually tell where your flaps are.
Oh, is it?
I don't know why you would ever actually need that, but it was one of the features that they included.
0 degrees. In other words, up.
Yep.
Okay.
And so it goes down to 40-degree flaps.
And are they manual?
They are electric, actually.
Oh, are they? So that would be like...
trim and the flaps are electric.
Okay.
And they're on a hat, right on the stick.
Oh, okay.
So
Seneca...
your flaps actually are on your throttle. You've got electric switch on your throttle itself. So, and then the trim is all done with a little hat.
Nice.
And a joystick. Which
the Saratogas, later Saratogas are electric flaps, but the early ones in Cherokee 6s were manual flaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a slightly different configuration on the skins on there too, to a Piper.
Yeah. I think it was because this section is somewhat different than the Piper. So these are probably shorter flaps than on a Piper.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because the engine's gone.
Yeah.
There's a gap, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And here's the tail. So the relaxed state of it is...
Yeah, the relaxed state of it's like that, which to me seemed a little weird at first. But when it flies, that's just the way it's supposed to be, I guess.
It's probably pretty light on the stick, isn't it?
I would say it's actually kind of heavy on the stick.
Okay.
But I'm coming from a Yak, which was a 2-finger stick kind of razor blade. This one feels... I've never flown a jet, but I would assume that it feels more like a jet to fly.
Okay.
And,
you're going to let me fly it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. If you notice, all the control surfaces have 2 linkages here. Everything's doubled.
Oh.
Is that typical on the Piper?
No.
No. No?
No, that's probably just redundancy.
Yeah, so everything's redundant. You see that down here as well. Everything's got 2 linkages there. So even back here, it's got 2. And I think that was because they were trying to sell it to military markets.
Yeah.
So it had to meet certain...
Why didn't it get sucked up by the military markets?
Well, it was a plane made at the end of the propeller military era. So they started designing this plane in 1996, And by the time it actually was released, it was around 97. I'm sorry, it started designing in 1986.
Oh, okay.
So, but then the USSR fell apart, and Poland lost all their contracts for building MiGs and Antonovs and everything else. So you ended up with all the Polish aviation industry not having any money. So it took them about a decade to actually get this plane to market. And by that time, everyone had transitioned to turboprops.
Oh, okay.
And no one was interested in making or buying an economical military trainer.
Yeah, government money, you pay the bills.
Exactly. By then, I think everyone had thrown in the towel and said, just buy the most expensive cool things you can.
Yeah, and make it last forever.
Mm-hmm. Make it last forever. So, I mean, this was kind of a plane that probably should have never been made.
I'm glad it was.
Yeah.
So, some familiar things, some unfamiliar things. Gabe, just go over the stuff in here that people would find interesting.
This airplane has a few features that probably aren't seen on most standard airplanes. This right here is your emergency gear extension system. So it works the same way that a Yak was. It's got a nitrogen tank. And if you can't get the gear to go down, you would move this lever back here and flip this up, spin that open, and it would blow the gear down. So it's going to force the gear down in case of an emergency.
That's a one-time deal.
It's a one-time deal.
Deal it, land it, reset it.
You land it, and then you need to clear out all the fluid and all the landing gear system because now you've got it contaminated with nitrogen. So you got to start over again.
Okay.
If that's the case. You've got an ejection system for the canopy itself. If you need to eject the canopy, you grab a hold of the big red lever here and here, and you just simply yank back. And that allows these pistons here to fire up, and it launches the canopy out of the hinge slots, and the canopy goes away.
Without hitting the vertical fin?
I would hope so, but I don't really want to try it at all. I mean,
it's a big fin.
When I take passengers in the airplane, what I tell them is don't touch anything red.
Quite right.
Please don't touch anything that's red. Because that's one of my fears is someone be in the back and, oh, what's this? And yank.
Bam!
You know. So, but I just have to have faith that my passengers know a little better than that. You've got your fuel cutoff valve here, standard kind of quadrant over here. On the actual throttle itself, you've got the flap lever. It's a switch right here that allows you to raise and lower the flaps. Your flap indicators down here. And as we talked about, we already have markings on the actual flap itself to tell you what position it is at. Some of the other features, we've got a override switch here. Since this was a training plane, the instructor would fly from the back and the student would fly from the front. And if the student in the front just wasn't really doing a very good job, the instructor could flip this up, flip that over, and all the primary controls would be moved to the back.
Useful.
Got our fire extinguisher. We've got a hammer to break the canopy if you should need it.
Parachutes?
It does have parachutes. It has regular seat backs that come with it, but since we might be doing over 60-degree bank angle today, we're going to go ahead and put the chutes in. So this metal frame here is kind of nicely constructed. I think they did a good job on that for a low volume production setup. The seats are adjustable up and down, forward and back. On a little piston, you just pull the lever and the seat comes up, goes down, however you want it to.
How is it for like ventilation when you're flying on the ground?
Gosh, it's not great. It's in the summertime at 95 degrees. You're pretty sure you're going to die.
When you're flying or
when you're flying.
Oh, really?
It's just so hot in here. You got a ventilation here, you've got heat and cool, but no actual AC. It's just letting in hot air. And this greenhouse just does not give you much respite from the sun. The back has a couple ventilation points. And
when you're on the ground, you can taxi with it open.
Yeah, when you're on the ground, you can taxi with the canopy in any position you want. This actually allows you to lock the canopy in a partially closed position. So it's pretty stout there. No limitations on taxiing with the canopy open. So sometimes the first thing you do when you get on the ground is you're going to pop that thing open so you can get some fresh air.
Clear. Full and free travel of the controls.
Oh, yeah.
Wide rudder stance like in a fighter.
Yeah, our feet are strapped into the pedals as well. Toe brakes like normal.
Yeah, my feet are up on the pedals underneath the toe, so if you're upside down you wouldn't lose where your foot is.
Yeah. I actually find that pretty nice. I feel like it adds a little bit more of a connection to the airplane when you're doing aerobatics.
Yeah, for sure.
The Yak 52 tail wheel had big flat pedals like this and toe brakes and all, but it did not have the stirrups.
So your feet would flail around a little bit?
Yeah, I always had to push real hard, it seemed like, on the pedals to keep my feet in place. Or at least that's just the way I felt.
Compared to the 172 you learned in?
I only had about 50 hours in that though, so
oh yeah,
I didn't develop any habits from that. And so for takeoff, we're going to leave the flaps at 0, and then you just full throttle, rotate at 70 knots, climb at about 90 knots, retract the gear, and reduce the power.
And climbing out at about 1,000 feet a minute?
Oh, I guess. I never much paid attention to it, but...
Look out the window, not at the panel.
Plus rail traffic, Airwolf 260 Alpha Whiskey taking runway 23 with straight out departure. There's 70, we're going to rotate. Land the gear up.
Nice.
Yeah. Pull back on the power and RPM.
The camera that's looking right at me makes me feel like we're in Top Gun or something.
Calusa traffic, Cessna 6150 Foxtrot, final runway 13. Calusa.
Alright, gonna close the cowl flaps.
Look how green it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow, she's responsive, isn't she?
Yeah, very responsive.
So the people that learned in these got into a jet after this?
Yeah, it was meant to go from this to the PZL Iskra, which was a little Polish jet trainer.
The big spa.
Yeah, Iskra, I-S-K-R-A. Wow.
Oh yeah, some serious G's. Like one.
Yeah.
Calusa traffic, Cessna 6150 Foxtrot, left downwind, runway 13, Calusa.
Got traffic right up there on our right.
Okay, got it, yeah. So when you're ready to roll, let me know. And I'll put the camera on.
All right.
It's rolling now if you want to.
All right, ready to roll?
Yep.
Hold on 1 second.
Calusa traffic, Cessna 6150 Foxtrot, entering left base, runway 13, Calusa.
So first thing I do is close the outboard tanks so that no fuel sloshes over into that.
Okay.
And then pick up speed. Level out. Climb. And roll. Oh, not bad.
I said a swear word on YouTube, so that was great.
Calusa traffic, Cessna 6150 Foxtrot, final runway 13, Calusa.
And let's try it again. Level out. Climb. See, that time I didn't quite pull up enough on that one.
No, that was nice.
I think I was a little bit spooked because I really prefer to do aerobatics from a little bit higher. So let's go a little higher.
Good idea. Okay. So I do the next one.
You shall do the next one. And you're going to want to be level and up to about 160 miles an hour, or 160 knots. All right, go for it.
So get some speed.
Keep going. And level.
Level. No
now pull. Yep.
And roll her in.
Not bad.
What's with the traffic, Aero 58 Tango on 3 mile 45 left downwind 18 watts.
So here we are, feeling a little bit more from my little loop. But was it that badly coordinated?
That's all right. I mean, better than I could do probably. But that's why I had you do it.
Thanks for letting me do it.
Yeah.
But thanks for bringing the plane. That was actually great. This is going to be a very interesting video. One of 3 PZL Airwolf M-26s in the world, maybe.
Pretty
and
much,
it's based here at Placerville. This wasn't flown in, this was rolled out of a hangar. So Gabe, thanks very much. And if you like these videos, subscribe and the little thing down here, and there's a bell, click on that and the bell will give you notifications of when we do others. And if you've got another plane that's rarer or more interesting than this, call us.
Bring it. We want to see it.
Thanks, Gabe, that was great.